This video tutorial will cover the basics of shooting video with our Canon T3i DSLR cameras. If you have not yet watched the beginner guide on using the Canon T3i, please do so before continuing. There are several advantages to recording video with a DSLR. First of all, a DSLR provides extremely high quality footage due to a larger CMOS sensor. You also have complete precise manual control over the recording settings and the ability to use various types of lenses. Therefore, you're able to work in a variety of lighting situations, including low light situations. Battery, charging, and recording time. The battery life when shooting video on the T3i is about 1.5 hours. It takes about 2 hours to fully charge the battery, so make sure to plan ahead of shooting. With the included 16GB SD memory card, you will get about 45 minutes of recording time at full 1080p resolution. Note that the T3i will automatically stop recording at about 12 minutes of consecutive recording. This is a built-in failsafe to prevent overheating. Recording settings and shooting. Before recording, it is usually a good idea to format the memory card you will be using. You can do this by clicking the menu button, scrolling to the first wrench icon, and then choosing Format. Do not check low-level format. Keep in mind that formatting will delete everything on the card, so make sure to transfer all needed data over to a computer first. After formatting, set the dial on the top right of the camera to video mode. In the menu, set the resolution and frame rate. This will be the second icon from the left and the first option down. 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second is the typical setting. However, if you're filming something that requires the classic cinematic look, choose 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames per second. For example, TV and broadcast media are shot at 30 frames per second, while movies you'll see in the theaters are shot at 24 frames per second. While still in the menu, change the movie exposure to manual in order to have full control over the exposure settings. This will be the first option under the first icon. You can also choose automatic exposure. This will allow for the camera to automatically adjust the lighting situation. However, this is not always the most accurate setting. To set the shutter speed, use the dial next to the shutter button on the top right of the camera. You should usually have your shutter speed set to double the frame rate to avoid choppy video. For example, 1/60 for 30 frames per second and 1/50 for 24 frames per second. To set the aperture, or f-stop, while holding the AV button down next to the LCD screen, use the same dial you used for the shutter speed. A larger aperture will provide a shallower depth of field, while a smaller aperture will provide a deeper depth of field. The lower the f-stop value, the larger the aperture. Adjust the ISO to put final touches on the exposure you need. The ISO button is on the top right of the camera. Click that, and then using the arrow keys and the set button, you can choose the ISO that you want. Be aware that higher ISO values will cause your video to be a bit noisy. Use the switch on the side of the lens to set the camera to manual focus. The reason for not using autofocus is that the camera does not have a continuous autofocus function. Manual focus will allow for live adjustments as you're recording. You can use the digital zoom function to get a more precise indication of how well you're focused. Zoom in to the point you want to focus on, and use the focus ring to manually adjust the focus. In regards to white balance, there are a few options available. Press the Q button. Scroll down to the second option and click Set. Auto white balance will automatically adjust to the lighting situation. However, it's not always accurate and will sometimes change as you're recording. There are also presets available that you can use if they fit your lighting situation. The last option is custom white balance. After choosing custom white balance, take a photo of a blank white sheet placed in the scene you'll be shooting. You can do so without leaving video mode. Next, press the menu button. Scroll over to the third icon from the left and scroll down to choose Custom White Balance. The photo you just took will be displayed. Press Set, then press OK. Close the menu. The white balance should now be set to your current lighting situation. To begin recording, press the Live View button to the right of the viewfinder. It has a red dot next to it indicating it is the record button. Once you press it, you will see a red dot show up on the top right of the LCD screen, letting you know that you have begun recording. Press it again to stop. Thank you for watching the DMC tutorial on recording video with the Canon T3i DSLR. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the DMC or come in at any time. Be sure to check out the video tutorial on using audio equipment with the Canon T3i.